Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. So glad you could join us here. I'm your host, Michael Vega, and we are so excited about fall because it's football season. A lot of football to watch, a lot of football to enjoy at all levels. And we'd like to give a special shout out to Coach Steve Dembowski and the Milton High football team for the way they rallied from a season opening loss at Needham, 24-0. With a big win against Central High here at Brooks Field in the home opener of the season with a huge 35-0 victory over their guests from Rhode Island. And it was nice to see the offense get untracked against Central with some huge performances. Patrick Collins had a couple of touchdown passes, including a long one to Harrison Hinkle, who scored on a long touchdown catch and grab. And then, of course, to Ronan Salmon, who's a spectacular junior receiver, who also had a pair of touchdown catches for the Wildcats in a tremendous win at home against Brooks at Brooks Field last week. And so the Wildcats, fresh off now a 35-0 victory, will be headed back onto the road to face Framingham, the host Flyers. They'll be playing them on Friday at 6 p.m. So if you're planning on getting out there, make sure you allow yourself plenty of time to deal with some of the rush hour traffic at that hour. So my recommendations, leave it about 4 o'clock because you're going to deal with some traffic and you want to get there in time for the start of the kickoff. I'm so glad to be joined here by my main man, Al Prizzuti. And Al, I enjoyed watching all this football this weekend, including Boston College. Al had a tremendous win at Florida State to start the season. They climb into the rankings at 24, headed out to Columbia, Missouri, where they engaged the Missouri Tigers of the Southeastern Conference in what was the only game between ranked opponents last week. And it's funny, they only showed it on the SEC network.
Oh, I got it on my. I have
the SEC
Infinity.
network. You have it.
I have a different. I don't have Comcast. I have
okay.
Infinity, and I watched the game. I give O'Brien credit for a couple of things. They're much more of they're a physical team.
Very physical.
And you can see it on defense, and when they hit, they could have won that game. I mean, they were up on Missouri. I think, though, the quarterback made two mistakes.
Yes.
One was a really bad mistake.
Yes.
Because the kid looked like the kid was his primary receiver. He stepped in front of the ball. He was going sideways. It wasn't a good pass. He should have probably got rid of the ball.
Correct.
The second one, the guy made a nice play on, and that happens.
Yeah, and the first one you're talking about, Thomas Castellanos, their quarterback, their dynamic quarterback. He's a dual threat. He gives them a chance to win every game they're in.
Yeah.
But in this instance, he tried, I think, to do too much, tried to get too much yardage on one play, on a chunk play, and, wound up getting intercepted right before the half, and they turn it over, and then Missouri takes the ball, comes down, then they get a tying touchdown.
Right.
And then BC gets the ball, tries to go back again, turnover on downs. Missouri gets it, comes back down, gets a big field goal to take the lead at the half. Mm-hmm. And so to me, that was kind of like a calamitous turn of events. But you know what? They kept fighting. They kept coming back.
But that's the sign of a good team and good coaching, is they don't get down. They're playing really good football. I mean, it could be 2-0 against a sixth-ranked team.
They were up
like
on
Missouri.
that team, 14-3.
Yeah, I mean, they went ahead at the start. So, watching them is kind of like, I guess segueing a little, watching the Patriots, which, a 1-1 could be 2-0.
Yeah.
And, they beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati almost beat Kansas City.
Unbelievable. That was an unbelievable game.
And I watched that game. When you get a kid like Castellanos for BC, and then you get a guy like Mahomes, you can never, ever say
you're out of it.
You're out of it.
No.
Because he does things. Mahomes reminds me of a magician. He takes things out. You go, geez, did he just do that?
Yeah.
And, they should have lost that. In my opinion, I thought Cincinnati outplayed.
Well, a lot of people say Castellanos comparable is Kyler Murray, the quarterback in Arizona, and they had a nice win too, and they're going to ramp things up. They got Marvin Harrison Jr., who's a tremendous receiver. But like you say, the Patriots shocked everyone in Week 1 with the 16-10 win at Cincinnati against the Bengals. The Bengals have a pretty decent defense.
Well,
but
Patriots do too.
But they took a hit this week, Al.
Yeah, I saw that.
Jawan Bentley, a linebacker who's one of the team leaders, will be out indefinitely with torn pec.
Yeah.
So
we had another kid, just an offensive lineman, that just left.
Okorafor, yeah.
That hurts them because
that does. That kind of weakens.
Andrews might not play this week. I mean, so
Yeah.
when you get players of that caliber not in the lineup with a question on the offensive line to begin with,
Yes.
I mean that's a big problem.
But it's interesting that they still were able to run the ball against Seattle. They were effective running the ball against Seattle.
What makes it even better for me is everybody you're going to look at what's his name, the big kid. I'm losing
Ramondre Stevenson.
Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah.
You can then use the other kid who had a better game,
Antonio
gained
Gibson.
46 yards
Yeah.
on one play. So now you go, okay, we can't key on Ramondre. We got to key on both of them to
Right.
see where they are,
Right.
which makes it difficult for the defense. So the thing I like about Jacoby Brissett is he can move. When he doesn't, when the receivers are covered, and he's got space, he's gonna take it.
He can take it.
And he can get you 5-7 yards, and hopefully not get hurt doing it. But
Let me tell
he's
you,
no kid.
He took some shots out.
He did take some
He
shots.
took some shots.
He
And
took one. I
the
didn't
fact
think
that
he
he
was gonna
got
get
up,
up at
yeah,
the end.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the fact that he got up from that one and walked it off, I said to myself, oh boy, that guy's gonna wake up tomorrow, day after game on Monday.
I think
Like
the
he run
real
over by a
problem
truck.
for the Pats, though, is coming quickly. It could be a plus, could be a minus. My guess it's a minus. Playing Thursday night against the Jets, who also have good defense and a pretty decent quarterback.
But not as mobile.
No, not as mobile. So what makes the Patriots competitive is their defense.
Yeah. But
And
the Jets
so-
have a really good defense.
And so
too.
the Jets, I think, have as good or better defense. It's going to come down to mistakes like it always does. And a veteran quarterback, I mean, and whether you like Rodgers or not, I mean, he's a veteran.
But
he knows what he's doing.
Here comes the. It's amazing how this month is flying by, Al. This year is flying by, because after the Jets, they play at San Francisco,
Yeah.
and then they come back and open October with consecutive games against Miami, Houston, at Jacksonville, and then against the Jets again at home.
Yeah. Well,
And
they got
so
a tough road there.
that's a tough stretch right there. I mean, Miami, San Francisco, Miami are banged up right now.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel's hurt.
Yeah.
McCaffrey's on the IR. I'm not sure what their offensive line situation is right now with the 49ers, but they have a very good defense.
I think what is going to happen with this team, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're not going to be an easy team to play. So when other teams are playing them later in the season, they're going to go, uh-oh, this team can beat us. We better be on and not take them too lightly.
Right.
And so that's a good sign. The players like playing for Mayo, though. You can see it. They want to win for Mayo.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. They could surprise people, maybe make 7, 8, 9 wins, I think is about in highest expectation. But you know what really is the problem? They're 1-1. They lose to the Jets, and then they look at the lineup coming up.
Wow.
They could be 2-4 or 2-5.
Well, some
after
people
7
had them
games.
being like at minimum 1-4 coming out of the first month.
Yeah.
Now they have a legit chance to be above water.
Well,
you know?
they do. I mean,
And this game against the Jets is going to be critical to that. If
Well-
you can finish that first month even,
if it was
that's
nicer if
beyond
it was here
expectations. Yeah.
as opposed to New York.
Right.
Nicer if it was a week to prepare than Thursday.
Yeah.
I look at it this way. If they're competitive, they lose this game, I'm going to throw it out, 27-14, 14 or 17.
Yeah.
That's competitive.
That's respectable.
You know, if they get blown out,
But you also got to remember that the Jets also have to prepare in a short week. They have the sense.
they're home.
They're home.
I mean,
that's the
makes a
difference.
difference.
It makes a difference that they're home.
I think. But
Yeah, because it takes a day out of you to travel, to get down there. And although it's not such a terrible trip.
you
to
know,
get
it's a
down
funny thing. Matthew Judon had a big game, incidentally. the
Yes,
other
I
day,
saw that
but,
Monday night.
Monday night, he had big. He had
That was
big
a hell of a game,
interception
Al.
at the end. It
Al, that was an unbelievable game.
But if you think about it, they were rushing the passer, which was Judon's forte.
Yeah.
And they were doing a pretty good job, so I haven't really missed him all that much. He's been injured for the last couple of years. He had a contract. He wanted out of here. I think they handled it. It looks like it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be fine.
You know what I took away from that Monday night game between the Atlanta Falcons and the host Philadelphia Eagles was the showdown between two premier running backs, Saquon Barkley and Bijan Robinson from Atlanta. And Saquon Barkley, having been acquired from the Giants, by the Eagles, he was tremendous at the outset of that game, just ripping off chunk yards at 9, 10, yards at a clip. And at the end of the game, I thought the Eagles made a critical error. They outfoxed themselves. They had the game in hand.
Yeah, they did.
The Falcons had no timeouts, and they went and threw the ball on a 3rd and 3. The kid should have caught it. Barkley had it in his hands, and if he had caught it and turned upfield, he likely would have scored, or get a first down. And here's the thing: it was 3rd and 3, and they'd converted like 2 other, 3rd and short, 4th and short situations with the tush push. And as I sat there, I'm going, why did they go to the running game?
Yeah.
Because then they're not going to be able to stop the clock.
Yeah.
And they can take their time on 4th down and kill as much time as they want.
When you're up against a team that's offensive and you got the ball, you gotta run it. You gotta wear the clock.
Wear the clock, kill the clock.
Because if you don't, and they get back on the field,
and look what happened.
trouble. Yeah.
Look, 3
Exactly.
plays, Atlanta comes roaring down the field.
If I'm playing Mahomes, I'm going to say to my team, run, get as many as plays in as you possibly can, because when he's on the field, you lose your advantage.
Yeah.
And but it's interesting. I was watching.
And that's the other thing too. I mean, Jalen Hurts for Philadelphia was just as good a runner as Barkley for them.
But I was watching the game the other day, the Patriots, and Ramondre is a big kid. He's 250 pounds.
No, he's not that big.
Yeah,
he's
he
like
is.
230 something.
Well, they said 250. But
Yeah.
anyway,
When
he
he
might have
hits you,
lost some weight. I look at everybody who's south of 250 and say, I like
They're
this
skinny.
kid. But anyway, when he hits, he'll bring you 3 or 4 yards more.
Yes.
What I liked about Gibson, though, and I really liked about him is, and people don't, you got to watch very carefully. When you see a hole open up and you see a runner and he sees an opening and he jukes.
Yes. Yeah.
He does that very well. He did that on
does.
that 46-yarder. That hole opened up. There's no question about there was
Shifty.
a hole there.
Very shifty.
But a lot of guys will go straight at it and get 6, 7 yards. If
North
you
and
shift and you deke out the defensive guy and then a hole opens up, you get 46 yards. So I like that because they're different style running backs.
It's a change of
on
pace.
top of it.
Yeah, Ramondre is more of a downhill type of runner.
I like him.
That moves the pile, moves the chains. But Gibson is a guy that has a little bit of shake to him, a little bit of shimmy to him. A little bit of ability
Ramondre's a 3rd and 2.
Yeah. What I abhor though is guys who, when they hand the ball off, they're immediately dancing.
Yeah.
No, you got to hit that hole hard.
go.
You got to hit it hard and go.
Yeah.
And that's what Saquon Barkley does. Bijan Robinson does. This kid from San Francisco, Jordan Mason. We're going to see him there in a couple of weeks. He's replaced McCaffrey, and he's had a tremendous year. From what we can tell. But teams that are not having a tremendous year, who would have thunk the Ravens 0-2 right now? Al, that's a big shocker to me because
It is.
a year ago I had them in the Super Bowl. against the Lions.
Yeah.
And both those teams made it, to the conference championship games. But unbelievable.
Well, it's a different type of, year to year. When you have a team like the Patriots winning every year, that's a yawn, Then we were talking about this with my daughter, who's not from Boston right now. I mean, she's living out there. She goes, around the country, everybody hates the Patriots.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
It was like the old New York Yankees.
Because we won too much.
If you were outside of New York, you hated
yeah.
the Yankees because they won. You hated the Montreal Canadiens because they won.
I got a distinct sense of that, Al, one year when I was traveling to Indianapolis. And it was on the heels of the Colts' victory over the Patriots in the AFC Championship. Yeah. And it was like hallelujah in Indiana. And so it was funny. I get in the airport, get in the Avis rental car, and the driver asked me where I'm from. I said, I'm from Boston. Oh, we finally got you guys. The Colts finally beat the Patriots. And I'm like, well, wow. They were like waiting. This guy was laying in wait to pick up someone from Boston just to lay into me.
Well, it's funny. I was watching on TV just to highlight that type of scenario.
Yeah.
And I was watching a thing called The Legends, in which they highlight key players. And Jean Beliveau was the guy that was on. It's a half-an-hour show.
Yeah.
And he's a gentleman. But they asked him about the Bruins, and he said, the funniest thing he said was that they were a better team than us, and we beat them. He said when they had Bobby Orr and Esposito, he said, and we were down. And then Lemaire scores, or Guy Lafleur scored. He said it was almost like the script was written and we just played the game. And it's fascinating because the Yankees used to do that to the Red Sox.
And you know who? And it's a great seg for you on that one because this past weekend with the Yankees-Red Sox series, you saw that come to light between Jarrett Cole and Rafael Devers.
You know what though? And I watched that, and I don't understand why he walked. I just don't understand. I understand but right now Devers is not hitting very well, and he's not hitting for power.
No.
So
I think his shoulders.
And Cole, he got up in the next inning, and then he rifled the ball in the right center, and he's a hitter.
Yeah.
I understand that, but I think they made a mistake doing that.
Sure.
But then the other thing was about Alex Cora got in a little trouble here in terms of.
No, MLB decided not.
Yeah, they
did not punish
him. That's something that I think is.
Well, when they throw at your guy, I think
tacit
it's
though. You don't say it.
Yeah.
It's something that you keep like this, and you and I afterwards, without the press there, say, I'm going to throw at this guy because he threw at Davis. So, You don't say that publicly and have the press do it. And, while we're on the Red Sox, a little, Stig says he's not coming back after 42. I think it was 42
years.
But, they asked him, they're going to do a thing for him at the end of the year, and I think that's interesting. Of all the announcers that the Red Sox had, and I'm partial to Kurt Gowdy, obviously, because I grew up with Kurt Gowdy.
Right.
And he came from the New York, incidentally. He was a Yankee announcer in the 50s. And he also was watching my guy, Ted Williams. And they were big sporting guys afterwards.
Yes, They love go fishing.
Cowboy, really, in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah. Well, my recollection of Kurt Gowdy was watching the NBC Saturday Game of the Week in the afternoon hour. Him and Tony Garagiola or Tony Kubek. Remember those guys?
I hate to say it because I was always I'm a Red
Garagiola.
Sox fan, diehard Red Sox fan. Ted Williams over all that, blah blah blah. But I didn't dislike the Yankees. I mean, Mel Allen was a great announcer.
Yeah.
I mean, but how could you not like Yogi Berra, Mickey Mantle,
Right.
Bill Skowron,
Yeah.
Gil McDougall, Clete Boyer,
They were a likable
Elston
team.
Howard.
They were a likable team. Yeah.
Roger Maris. I mean, Maris came from Kansas City, but the Red Sox had Gowdy. The Red Sox only had Ted Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, they had. I mean, you could say Jackie Jensen. You could say this and that. But not like the Yankee order. But it's an interesting thing when they asked Stig what he said, and I think this is true. He said the 2004 after 85 years was the biggest highlight for him.
Oh, watching that, yeah.
Yeah.
First time.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
I watched, they had interviewed Castig, and they showed the ball coming back to Folk, and he kind of ran over to first base.
He made sure he got it.
And then I saw Veritek. I think not only did he jump him, Folk, he was above him.
On him.
Jesus.
That's a large man.
But anyway.
Yeah, you know, and hats off to Joe Castig. I mean, what a great guy. When I was covering the Red Sox, you know, to see him around the ballpark, you know, he is an integral part of that day, your baseball day. You know, if you're listening to the game on the radio, you know, just the calming, you know, next door neighbor kind of, you know, tone that he has is soothing.
He's a radio announcer, though.
But, you know,
there's a difference.
And he's very much in the vein of like a Doc Emmerich was to me. You know, that revered, that well-respected, and that folksy charm that he had, too, on the air.
See, when you
now the guy, I'm sorry, I hate to say this, but I hope they don't go to Will Fleming, because that guy puts me to sleep.
Yeah, I don't
He's like he's calling a golf match, you know. And with Castig, at least you got some, hey, you know.
Sean McDonough is the best announcer in hockey,
bar none.
baseball, and everything.
Everything he does.
You know, so somebody like him, I'm not a Lou Merlone fan. I think he talks too much. And the other kid that played for the Red Sox.
Nicholas,
No, not you.
Middlebrooks?
The other one from Texas.
Middlebrooks.
No, there's a
Will Middlebrooks.
No, there's
Kevin Millar?
Oh. See, here's the difference between...
Kevin Millar's trying to be Eck,
Yeah.
I think.
Here's the difference between a radio announcer and a television announcer. The guy who's doing the radio has to you have to picture what he says. So if you're sitting at home and somebody's on second base, you have to say,
He's got to frame
the runner's got to take a lead. The runner's taking the lead.
Right.
Second baseman's coming over to cover for him. You know, the pitcher steps off to the mound. Well, you can't do that with television because you can see it.
Yeah.
And it's much more difficult to be a radio announcer.
Oh, let me tell you who has a really difficult job was Judd Surratt.
Yeah.
Calling Bruins games on the radio.
He's going to be doing the TV.
Now he's going to be transitioning to do the TV.
That'll be interesting.
You know what? It's going to be much welcomed, I think.
Yeah, I think
because
Edwards was on the way out. We all knew
a
that.
little bit, yeah.
If you watch any of the games, and I still watch some of the
older games,
and Edwards in his
different,
prime was
on point.
Yeah,
on
very
point.
much so. And toward the end, he had lost it, and thank God he had Brick covering for him. This guy, we'll see. Now, I guess they already announced who's going to take over for Surratt on the radio side.
Yeah.
And Bob Beers
I love Beers. He's
even
great.
better than Brick
Yeah.
on the radio.
Yes.
Because he's a
really.
he
Well,
really
I mean,
knows
I like
him.
Brick too.
I like them both.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you need a guy like Brick. Bob Beers on the radio side. You need him. You can get other people to do what Brick is doing.
I think the kid who called the Worcester games at Polar Park for
Monaco?
No. He's going to be doing the radio for the Bruins. It's a young guy. I think,
Yeah. I like Mike Monaco. I think when
He's pretty
O'Brien
polished,
is not on and he's doing his other things and Monaco comes in, he's a better announcer.
Yes.
He's clearer. He
Yeah.
doesn't excuse me. He doesn't do the fooling around.
Oh, I thought you were doing that for effect.
No. But anyways.
But yeah, no, I like that very much. And with the Bruins now getting ready to start up their camp, and
be an interesting
Swayman's
thing.
still not signed out.
Yeah,
Bit of a concern there for you?
No, not at all. And they'll sign him, and I'm interested to see these players that they brought in, how they fit in on the second and third lines, and really what's going to happen with the first line too, because you don't know. I mean, you lose somebody like DeBrusque who scores 25 to 30 goals and can skate.
Right.
Now, the Bruins have had a weakness on the second, third line centers. You might have a passing center. I mean, we're talking about a center who can score and pass.
But a center who can win the draw.
We'll see. Yeah, well,
That's another thing too.
Huge. That's
You
where
got to win that draw. Yeah.
Bergeron was a 60%, 65%.
Yeah, he had a better than 60% chance of winning a draw every time he stood in there.
Yeah. So
You know?
I think it's going to be an interesting season. Through 25 or 30 years, when the Bruins were them and the Rangers were the tail end of the original six. Bobby Orr came in and changed the scope of the Bruins. They became the big bad Bruins. They became the potential Stanley Cup champions. Every year Bobby Orr was playing, they could win, because he was by far the best player that ever played, in my opinion. And through all the changes that the Bruins have had, they're probably over the last 10 years the winningest team in the NHL.
Yeah.
The last 10 years.
Yeah.
They're always there.
Yeah.
So we'll see whether I don't see them winning the Stanley Cup, but you know what? If Swayman gets backed up by Korpisalo and he's decent, they have a great defense.
Oh boy,
They just need a
they're
couple
going
of
to be
guys
physical.
Yeah.
They're going to
Well,
be
they're big.
physical. They're going to be bigger.
Which is
I
good.
mean, you got Charlie McAvoy with Nikita Zadorov, who's coming in, who's huge.
6'7", 6'8", or something.
Yeah.
He's like
Oh, my
Zdeno
God.
Chara for
And
crying out loud.
then
Not
you got
the
Hampus
same.
Lindholm now, and Brandon Carlo,
Brandon Carlo, 6'5".
very
You
physical.
know, the new kid from Ohio State, he's 6'5".
Yeah.
Laurie,
Laurie,
he's 6'5".
Mason Laura. And then Geeky, you get him in there.
Right. I mean, they gotta look at. You don't have to be real smart to see the teams that keep winning the Stanley Cup.
Or physical.
They beat the Bruins up because you don't have to be physical if you're playing another physical team. When you're playing a team like the Bruins that were not physical,
you know what's
you
coming.
you can
Yeah, you got to know
push
what's
them around
coming.
a little.
Yeah, and they
They
knew
lost
what
to
was
St.
coming.
Louis because of it.
Yes.
I mean, I was in Italy when that happened. In the seventh game, I said the
remember that.
Bees are going to win. I mean, for sure, and they lose
Right.
at home.
Yeah.
But that's why you have to play.
Yeah, but and I'll be excited to see Merkulov and Fabian Lysell, Georgi Merkulov. And,
I think Merkulov is going to shine quicker than Fabian because Fabian had all of this hype.
but he was not ready.
He wasn't ready,
No,
and
he's not
if he's not ready soon,
Back to Providence.
Merkulov had like 30 goals last year. I mean, he can play, this kid.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. We're going to have one team we know is going to win. That's the Celtics.
Yes.
And we have 3 teams that you have to put a giant question mark on. From the Red
Who has the
Sox-
biggest question mark on them right now? I'd say the Red Sox.
Well, you know what? I look at the Red Sox and say, give me some pitching. And
They
I
have the
got a
ability
they got
to fix their
They
situation.
got a core.
Yeah.
This kid's Dana Raphael. He can play shortstop. He can play center field. He's a great center fielder. He's as good as Jackie Bradley in
The
center
Jaron
field.
Duran,
Jaron Duran had a great season. Devers
Casas.
had a great season. I hate to see them give up on O'Neill, but from what I understand is he's another 30 home run guy that they're going to let go.
He
wants
they
a
should have
multiple-year
kept
contract.
Kyle Schwarber. They should have kept Hunter Renfroe.
Well, they should have kept Schwarber for one reason. Schwarber is like, he's like a game. You put him in there, he hits a home run or he strikes out. O'Neill, if he didn't have
Bombs.
the injury,
This guy just hits bombs.
and he didn't have his injuries, I would sign him.
I'm signing
Fenway
him.
Park. He is the quintessential Fenway Park hitter.
He is. Well, that does
Other
it for
than me.
Yeah. Well, that does it for us here this week. Thanks for spending your time with us. And I want to remind everyone, get out to Framingham for the Milton High football game on Friday at 6 p.m. at Framingham. All righty, everybody. We'll see you here next time on Stepping Up to the Plate. Take care.